from the Levian Gymnasium on the campus of Columbia University. It is time for a little NCAA Division I wrestling right here on the Ivy League on ESPN. Sam Cooperman and Maya Latona with you. We get right to the action at 125. Nick Babin in the blue singlet for the Lions of Columbia, taking on Michael Joyce of the Brown Bears. Babin, a senior returning national qualifier from Emerson, New Jersey. Joyce, sophomore from Gloucester, Rhode Island. As we get this going, Maya, your thoughts on this dual meet and what you're looking forward to seeing today?
Yeah, I think our guys have just come off of a couple of hard dual meets. We had a pretty hard preseason leading into it, and so I think a lot of these guys, especially somebody as seasoned as Nick Babin, is looking to score some points here and potentially, he's been kind of on a pin roll earlier in the season. He's taken a couple hard matches, but he's looking to keep that momentum going.
Brown looking for its first EIWA dual meet win of the year, a young group under second-year head coach Jordan Lean, and they get off to a nice start with the three-point takedown. Joyce, he was one of three Bears to get a major decision at Bucknell yesterday. 8-0, he topped Cade Davenheiser in Lewisburg. So the escape for Babin to cut it to 3-1.
Babin right now on an inside tie on his left side with a now switching to both inside ties on both of those ties. And Babin's kind of a guy who likes to wrestle clear his ties and shoot pretty low. But Joyce is doing a really good job of kind of following those hand fights, following those ties, and sprawling real hard.
And on a single. There's three, and Babin pulls ahead.
And Babin has what's called a hand Turk right there, and he's switching over possibly to a leg Turk and now into a leg ride. And he's looking to bring that hip of Joyce over the other hip in order to find some exposure, or at least use his hips to break Joyce down.
Nice start to the weekend for Babin Friday at the Blue Gymnasium. He got a pin over Harvard's Isaiah Adams in just over 2 minutes, so a first period fall for Babin to bring him over 500 as he looks to boost his resume heading into the postseason just a few weeks from now.
Babin's looking for almost a 2-on-1, possibly tilt or cradle, and he drives him over his head, and now he's going to look for that cradle, that tilt.
Tough spot for Joyce.
Babin does a good job of readjusting and finishing on top. Joyce was doing a good job of shifting his hips and also, using his legs to get out from underneath Babin's tilt. So that was a little bit of a precarious position for both of those wrestlers. Could have gone either way. But Babin gets those near fall points. And now he's back in on that leg.
So after an early takedown for Joyce, it's Babin who scores 8 unanswered to close the first, up 8-3. So neutral for the second. Babin going right back to work.
Babin back in on that hard collar tie. His left hand is in on an inside tie, right hand in on another inside tie. And both these wrestlers keeping good pressure. As you can see, Joyce with a really quick drag into a takedown.
And Joyce scores his second takedown of the bout, cutting it to 2. And Brown's strength is those lighter to middle weights in their dual meet lineup. Still early in a rebuilding process under Jordan Lean, but that coaching staff chock full of All-Americans, including Michael Kemmerer, who they added last month, a 5-time All-American at Iowa, as Babin breaks free. Joyce hanging with Babin early in this one, about halfway through the second. A few swipes and misses for Babin.
We could see both these wrestlers starting to find their range, starting to find their drags. Joyce with a good drag off that takedown in the last one, and Babin with a good high crotch. Babin with good pressure on the edge.
Stay in. just for a moment. Maya, it feels like with Joyce, somebody that has a little bit of a size advantage there. Feels like he's been able to use that a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times we see that bigger guys will use drags and harder collar ties, harder snaps to really muscle their way into an angle or at least really move their opponent a little bit harder. And in these positions, a lot of the times it comes down to who's going to be a little bit more dynamic in these kind of short offense-defense positions.
There's 3 for Nick Babin. He extends the lead to 6. Another late period takedown. He's looking for back points here. Saved by the horn is Joyce. They're going to look at the video here. The Brown side was jumping up. I think they're saying that Babin was taken down right before the horn, so they're going to evaluate that.
They're looking for that 2-point reversal. Since there is no escape, the only option would be a reversal, and it looks like they're looking for loss of control and then, positioning control for Joyce.
Yeah, so Steve Petonik and Steve Marcus, the officials looking over here. And they're going to get a nice camera angle as we head towards the third. So, like you said, Maya, with the reversal, would cut it to 12-8 if Joyce was able to pull that off there. And in the event he does, still one takedown is not enough. So it's going to be tight in this third. But Joyce, it feels like he's really hung tough with a very quality wrestler, Nick Babin.
Yeah, he's doing really well. I think his drags look good. His hand fight, his circling looks good. Seems to me that Babin's only really fired off some direct shots, some high crotches, some low singles. You see a couple fakes there.
Call stance, go to the third, 12-6. One of the things with Brown that's really interesting is they didn't have any dual meets in, like you said before, Maya, the preseason, the pre-EIWA, where a lot of their guys, they weren't able to wrestle until after the new year. So it was a lot of invites and opens, like the Black Knight Open up at West Point, Clarion, a few of those type of events early in the season for some of the Brown guys. But then you have a guy like Joyce, who's only wrestled in 6 bouts officially. So it's still pretty early or late, however you look at it, in his season.
Yeah, I think, there's kind of, 2 approaches to it. Are we going to see all of these EIWA guys eventually? So might as well get in some extra matches at a tournament where you might get 3-4 matches. Or are we going to go and duel some of the, Big Tens, some of these big conferences guys, so that we see them later down the line at the NCAA tournament? Either way, you're getting matches,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for Brown, it was more by necessity from talking to Jordan Lean, but he kind of liked it. We're going to do that again next year, and definitely, like you mentioned, some approaches there as Babin's trying to finish this one off, getting a count in. Just got one shake of the head from Steve Petonik.
Yeah, and Joyce, once again, coming in off of that scramble and almost looking to hit a reversal off of Babin's crab ride that ends up kind of Babin on his back. He's doing a good job of keeping good back pressure when he's looking for that reversal, but Babin this time making a good adjustment of following him up and over, using his hips to flatten him back down. And then, when he took him down, he looked for that single. So because there was no break of contact, you don't find that escape point, and there's no takedown again. They're still right where they started off.
So Babin's already got the riding time point locked in. He's got over 2 minutes of riding time. So we'll have a 13-6 win if it holds up, and that, of course, not enough to push it to a major decision. So Babin's got to score a little more as he goes into the offensive. You can hear fans behind us wanting a stall call as Joyce is turtled up here.
Babin looking almost looks like a cradle, perhaps.
Horn sounds 13-6 is what the final will go down as. 2:38 of riding time. A strong win for Babin, but it goes down as a decision to make it 3-0 Columbia on the dual meet scoreboard. So we'll take a look at Nick Babin and what he was able to do here, Maya. What did you make of his performance?
I think Babin kept a pretty good match on Joyce. I think one of the biggest things is being able to find yourself in these scrambles and being